What's up, everybody? Just want to make a quick video about this mother getting sentenced to 7 days in jail. I mean, you could call it what you want it, but I just call it how I see it. And it hit mainstream and all this just to put fear out there. Once you gotta understand, once something hits mainstream, you gotta ask yourself why. You know, they don't put true shit on TV. So I just went, watched this video right here, and basically, she not going to jail because she didn't vaccinate her kids. One thing you gotta understand is, and I see a lot of people posting this as, oh, it's vaccines because she didn't go, vaccinate her kids. She's going to jail, and all over mainstream, she didn't vaccinate her kids, so she's going to jail. But that's really not the case. See, how it works is this goes to show you that you don't own, your kids are the state property, man. And more people need to wake up to this bullshit, because once you bring the system into, we're already locked in the system, but once you bring the system really into your, you contract with the states, you give them more power. So these people haven't been together in, years, and all of a sudden, obviously they didn't vaccinate mutually for a while. Now all of a sudden, years later, the dickhead asshole father wants to be a piece of shit and say, oh, I want to vaccinate now, bring him up to vaccination. So he brings her to court, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, this is how the court system works. Okay, you form a new contracts. So she doesn't want to vaccinate her kids, but now it's in the court system, so it's an open contract. The dad doesn't, the mother doesn't. This is in a nutshell. Okay, so because the dad doesn't, the court has to side with the dad on this, because legal ramifications are, just say, we all know what vaccinations do, and yes, this video piss anybody off, with in regards to forced vaccination, but this isn't forced vaccination. This is just them spinning the story because they can. But the reality of the fact, she's only going to jail for contempt of court because she didn't follow the order. That's all. It has nothing to do with vaccinations. They cannot put her in jail for not vaccinating the kids. They're just spinning the story that way, And I would expect more people to know this, but obviously not. So what happens is they have to enforce his side of the contract, because the legal ramifications, if God forbid the kid got sick or something, the dad could sue the court for ruling in her favor for non-vaccination. But vice versa, she cannot sue if something has happened to her child from all these vaccines. She can't. No one could sue it. The dad can't even turn around and no one could sue these vaccine companies. You just can't. Go look it up. You can't sue them. So if something happens, there's nothing that they could do from vaccination. But vice versa, if the court rules in her favor, she there's lawsuits that can come to the to the state for allowing that. So that's all it was. It's they have to side with him, but they have to spin the story the other way. If you know anything about law and legal shit, that's just all it was. It was an enforcement of a contract. That's it. And she failed to obey the contract, so the judge, which isn't a fucking real judge, reprimands her to jail only because she signed up for it. That's it. That's all it is. It's nothing more than that. It's nothing to do with vaccinations, and if you watch this whole clip word for word, you can see what she's going to jail for. But people are saying they're forced with vaccination, which they're not. It's just another way this fucked up system works, because that lady right there ain't no judge. She's a magistrate or a court appointed attorney. That's not even a judge. There's no, there was no jury. It's just a straight fraud fraudulent court in the first place. So I mean, I can go deeper with it, but the basis of it is there's a contract. She didn't abide by it. She's going to get put in 7 days in jail for contempt of court, which is, it's all totally fraud, but because she signed up for it all, this is what happens. So the piece of shit father all of a sudden wants to vaccinate his kids to be spiteful or whatever, so that's what happens. And if you know anything about law and courts, you know that all this was legal. There's nothing illegal about it. And there is no, she's not going to jail for failure to vaccinate her kids. She's going to jail for, violating contracts that she had signed, and the court has to side with the father. And that's the sad part about it, But that's how this fraud works in the system, We're all just frauded into believing all this bullshit, But that's all, So that's all I got on that. I mean, it is what it is, and she gonna do a little 7 days in jail for failure to obey the court order, which was obviously clear, present, and that's all, And what she's speaking in court, the judge, you're dead in court, so the judge wasn't hearing any of that anyway, so she was just, off record saying all that stuff, So, once again, in these de facto courtrooms, just another show of, what they do to us and how they do it. Only because we volunteered. She volunteered all this. They volunteered all this shit. The judge didn't do shit. Technically, these two parents volunteered all this. So she's going to jail on her own will because she, was duped into doing this. It's hard to believe, but when you study this stuff and understand it, you know exactly what's going on. The judge isn't a real judge. That lawyer isn't for her. Where's the prosecutor? Where's the jury? This isn't due process. For one, these matters can't even be heard in an actual court of law. So what does that tell you? Just more fuckery. Peace and love, everybody. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions, but this lady did not go to jail for failure to vaccinate her children.
I would like to offer my most humble apology for having to stand in front of you today. I take full responsibility for my actions, and it was not my intent to disrespect Your Honor or to disobey the court's orders.
See?
I stand here today scared
court orders,
and vulnerable,
she disobeyed.
begging the court to understand that I'm not a lazy parent. I'm a passionate mother who cares deeply about my children, their health, and their well-being. This order has taken on a life of its own, Your Honor, and it is my fault that I have not stood up sooner and explained to the court that I am an educated, vaccine choice mother, and I have signed vaccine.
See, at this point, it really doesn't matter what the fuck she's saying. The judge already know what she's doing. All this right here that she's speaking, they're just letting her blabber out. They're not hearing shit, nothing. They don't speak this language, so they're not hearing nothing she's saying.
Waivers and have been fully compliant with all state Michigan laws for both of my children for every school year.
And she has probably been compliant with these vaccination forms and all this stuff. Legally, she's done it right. But there's a court order, and it's filed by the father. He wants all of a sudden to vaccinate him, so the court has to go that way. And whatever paperwork she signed and all this other crazy, shit she made a mistake and signed to not be informed, this is what the ramifications of it.
And if my child is going to be forced to be vaccinated, I couldn't bring myself to do it. It goes against my beliefs, Your Honor. My marriage to Mr. Horn was annulled over 9 years ago, and we've always shared the same beliefs on vaccinations until recently. I beg the court to see that Mr. Horn's newfound belief on vaccinations is nothing more than his leverage for him and his attorney. Your Honor, on November 16, 2016, in a motion I was never served notice of, and after reading the transcripts From that day, it is very clear that Mr. Richardson took the liberty of writing that all vaccinations be brought up to date. As it shows on the record, Your Honor referred all matters to the FOC for
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to stop you because the truth matters to me.
See, she's going to stop her, and basically she told her to shut the fuck up because that shit don't matter. Now she's about to tell you the truth of the matter.
November 30th, you appeared to set that order aside. You never went before me.
You can't see the video because this stupid ass iPhone don't have no good screen recorders to talk and do videos. But I'll leave the link. You can watch it. Look at this court. I mean, this isn't no courtroom. She's not no real. She hasn't sworn oath. She hasn't been sworn oath. To being a judge, guaranteed. I mean, you can go look that up. I bet you get her name, find out her name. She's not a real fucking judge.
Read in a consent order to vaccinate your child.
She's just enforcing the contract. That's all she's doing.
I understand you love your children. But what I don't think you understand is that your son has two parents and dad gets a say. And the record, I urge you to review it, and anyone else. What you just said, that he has a newfound objection, is not true. You acknowledge in your own pleadings your child at a year old was up to date on all his vaccinations. You acknowledge that in your own pleadings. I'm not going to...
So... what the hell's been going on for all these past years? And this shit is fucking stupid.
Take time today to listen to the facts as you see them. I just urge you to really read the record, because I have, and what you're saying is just not true. Contempt is a serious and critical power the court has. It's available to the court so it can enforce orders, and so that the people before me have confidence that an order means something, and I don't take it lightly. It's clear to me that you don't care.
See, she's just enforcing the order because they have the right. Okay, the judge is basically what do you call that shit? Okay, she's like an executive of whatever county or parish they're in. She's the executor. So she can enforce certain things on their behalf, because if you know how all this is too long of a story, but if you know how all this is set up, that woman is operating in public trust, and she's just the trustee, so they can enforce whatever they want upon the trustees.
About orders, even if you agree to them, which you did. You agreed on November 30th. Your attorney signed that order. I reviewed your testimony at the FOC hearing where you acknowledged that you enrolled the minor child in a different school without dad's consent. You admitted in this court
And see, you can't... See, when you're with two parents and you're going through these stupid-ass courts, you can't move and do certain shit without the other consent. If there's a court order there's a contract that you guys got to abide by, and if one parent decides to do something else, the other parent has a right to bring you back to court and enforce that contract. And if you still fail to do it, then they can do exactly what they're doing now. This is just how it goes. I mean, got nothing to do with vaccinations. It just got to do with contracts, and it could have been about your kid eating Skittles. If she started feeding her Skittles and the dad if she stopped feeding him Skittles and dad wants Skittles and they got a contract, guess what? They could put the bitch in jail for not feeding the kids Skittles. Yes, that's what really happens. It's fucked up.
That you unilaterally changed the child's therapist without the court's approval or dad's consent. You signed a waiver for vaccinations without...
See what she says? Court's approval. Okay? It's dad's consent. So dad says yes, the court approves it, you say no, you're in trouble. That's just how it goes. It's just plain as day. I mean, this shit we should fucking know. We seek truth, we dig for answers, but people don't even understand the shit that they have us enslaved in.
Dad's consent. And you've repeatedly stated over the past several days publicly that you will not follow this court order. So I'm sentencing you to 7 days in jail. And I also award Dad temporary physical custody while you are incarcerated and until enough time is...
She's not awarding, the court isn't awarding Dad shit. The court ain't doing nothing but faking like there's some type of power. They have to award Dad temporary custody. Who the fuck else gonna have it? He's the only one on a contract. That's it. If he wasn't on a contract, guess who gets him? The state. Then they put him in these homes and do all this other crazy shit. But this is how the game goes.
Asked for him to bring your son's vaccinations up to date as rapidly as medically necessary, which is the language in the order. Father, you are to set up that immediately when you leave here, and also pick up the minor child at school. He is with you. We will set this matter for a review a week from today so that I can have the status and the report on the vaccinations. Thank you.
Your Honor,
No, you can't talk.
Mr. Vice.
You can't say shit because you're dead in the fucking courtroom. That's a fact. She can't say nothing. Nothing to be said. The law speaks contract, speaks paper. If it ain't on paper, you can't say shit about it. Speak through your attorney. If you don't have a fucking attorney, you're just dead in the water. And that's just how the game goes in these fake ass courts. Practicing law.
We are done here. Call the next case.
Your Honor, now calling docket number 52, Hoffman versus Hoffman. Case number 2017.
And that's it. Contract speaks for itself. That's how the game goes. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because I see a lot of this going to jail for non-vaccination to try to fear you into non-vaccinating. Don't fucking vaccinate your kids, man. Don't do that. There's legal ways to do it. Just do it right. And that's it, man. Peace and love. And hope, you get something out of this. Do your own research. Come to your own conclusions.